Have you ever felt that, even wanting to change your life, something invisible seems to pull you back to the same habits, fears, and excuses? Today, I want to talk to you about a book that provokes exactly this kind of reflection. A different book, direct, sometimes uncomfortable, but extremely transformative. Its proposal is simple and powerful, to reveal what truly prevents people from achieving success, freedom, and purpose. The work presents a curious central idea. The author imagines an interview with the devil himself. But here, the devil is not a literal religious figure. He represents everything that traps the human mind: fear, procrastination, lack of direction, negative environmental influence, and unconscious habits. Right at the beginning, one of the book's first great lessons emerges. Humanity's greatest enemy is not outside, it is within one's own mind. According to this view, most people live in a state called drift. Drift is when you simply go through life without clear purpose, reacting to circumstances, repeating automatic routines, and accepting limitations without questioning. Think with me, how many people say they want to change, but spend years doing exactly the same things? That is drift. The book states that fear is the main tool that keeps people in this state. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of rejection, fear of losing security, and perhaps the strongest of all, fear of taking responsibility for one's own life. One of the most striking ideas presented is that fear doesn't just paralyze big dreams, it paralyzes small, daily decisions. People postpone an important conversation, avoid starting a project, stop studying something new. Small omissions that, when added up, build a lifetime of silent frustration. The book suggests something powerful. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite it, and that changes everything. Another central lesson is the importance of having a defined purpose. People without a clear objective are easily influenced by others' opinions. However, those with a defined purpose develop a kind of mental shield. This person knows where they are going. A simple example: two people wake up early. One just goes to work because they need to pay bills. The other wakes up early because they are building something that makes sense to them. Externally, the behavior is similar. Internally, they are completely different worlds. The book also talks a lot about self-discipline. Without discipline, even the best plans die before they are born. With discipline, even difficult goals become possible over time. There is a striking passage that suggests the mind needs to be consciously controlled. Otherwise, it will be controlled by external influences. This leads to another important reflection. Who you spend time with shapes who you become. If a person spends time only with pessimistic, negative, or complacent people, they slowly start to think the same way. But when they associate with people who study, evolve, and take responsibility, their mindset changes almost imperceptibly. The book treats this as a silent law of the human mind. Another strong idea presented is that traditional education often teaches what to think, but not how to think. And without critical thinking, people accept limits imposed by others as if they were absolute truths. Therefore, one of the implicit recommendations of the work is to develop mental independence, to question, to reflect, to seek knowledge beyond the basics, not to become a rebel without a cause, but to become the owner of one's own mind. A point that draws a lot of attention is the relationship between time and decision. People who take too long to decide end up trapped in the same life for years. Meanwhile, those who decide with clarity, even taking risks, advance much faster. It doesn't mean deciding without thinking. It means not using eternal doubt as an excuse not to act. Another powerful lesson is about sexual energy and creativity. The author presents the idea that this energy, when channeled correctly, can drive achievement. It's an unusual view, but one that reinforces a larger point. All human energy can be transformed into growth when consciously directed. The criticism of blaming external factors also appears. Blaming government, economy, family, past. According to the book, as long as a person maintains this pattern, they surrender control of their own life. The turning point happens when the question arises, what can I do with what I have now? This kind of thinking returns power to the person. A message often repeated throughout the work is that dominant thoughts become practical reality. That is, what you think frequently tends to transform into behavior, and repeated behavior becomes destiny. Therefore, controlling the mind is not some distant philosophical concept. It is something extremely practical. If someone feeds thoughts of failure every day, they will hardly have attitudes of success. But if they start to feed thoughts of possibility, learning, and action, the path changes. The book also talks about persistence. Almost all significant success requires going through phases of doubt, criticism, and slow results. Those who give up early never discover how far they could have gone. There is a very strong implicit idea. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Another important teaching is about simplicity. Many people wait for perfect conditions to start something big. But most achievements start small, imperfect, and uncertain. Waiting for the ideal moment is often just disguised fear. The work also highlights the power of habit. Small actions repeated daily shape the future more strongly than occasional big decisions. Reading a little every day, saving a little money, studying constantly, taking care of one's health. In isolation, they seem small. Over time, they completely transform a life. Perhaps one of the greatest lessons of the book is this: true freedom begins in the mind. Before changing external results, internal beliefs must be changed. Before conquering something outside, something inside must be overcome. And this doesn't happen all at once. It's a daily process of awareness, choice, and action. Ultimately, the general message of the work is almost an invitation to take total responsibility for one's own life. Not in a heavy way, but in a liberating one. Because when you take responsibility, you also take power. And when you take power, you realize that there is always a next possible step, even if small. Now, I want to ask you something sincere. How many of these ideas did you already know, but haven't fully put into practice yet? This is perhaps the most important point of all. Knowledge only transforms when it becomes action. And sometimes, all we need is a reminder at the right time. If this summary made you reflect, it was worth it. And if you like content that brings deep ideas in a simple way, leave your like here on the video. This greatly helps the channel continue to grow. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next videos with more reflections, books, and learnings that can truly change the way you see life. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you in the next video.